Hi guys, this is Demon Rants, and today I'm not doing the usual type of video today where I just stand in front of a camera and talk. This is an actual edited style video because I just want to show you, some of my skills and everything like that. And it will be my first proper top 10 list. Now, I have mentioned it before in a couple of other videos that this is my top 10 favourite albums. If this video does well and people like it, maybe I'll continue this type of series. But if you don't like these types of videos, don't worry, the next video will be a rant, so stay tuned for that. And it's going to be quite a controversial one. But anyway, so basically these 10 albums, because music, these 10 albums and everything like that are the ones that have affected me the most personally, and the ones I feel that have the best songs on them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been quite a fan of music recently and everything like that, so I just wanted to share my musical tastes. But anyway, let's start the list. Okay, so number 10 is the dreaded Nickelback, and it is The Long Road. Now, I know people will already dislike this video and unsubscribe and stuff because, oh, Nickelback sucks, but just watch my video. I kind of did my thoughts on them and what I think of the band, so just check that video if you want to know my thoughts on the band. But anyway, this album, The Long Road, is actually surprisingly pretty good. If you hate the band and stuff like that, I think you should actually give this one a chance. And yeah, I personally think it's the best work they've ever done, and simply just because it's one of the albums that I always go back to and everything like that, listen to from the start to the very end. I think I've listened to it now about 3 times recently. But yeah, anyway, I like this one the most because it definitely, has some of the hardest tracks on it. I mean, let's just name a couple. Flat on the Floor, Because of You. I think Because of You is the best song they've ever done. There's some really great guitar riffs here. I mean, the only problem with the album is that I guess if you hate Chad Kroeger's, voice and everything like that, you'll probably just dismiss it like their other albums. But honestly, I don't see the problems with this one. I think it's great. Now, it did come out after Silver Side Up, which was, their the album with How You Remind Me on it, and people say that's the only good song, but I actually like a couple of the others. But it came out after Silver Side Up, which is kind of when they sold out. But this album is definitely a lot more like their roots, and it has a very kind of rock style to it, when Nickelback used to be a rock band and they didn't just rip off Maroon 5. But yeah, there's other great songs on here, Do This Anymore, Someday, which people call it a rip-off, but I don't know, that song just makes me feel emotional for some reason. Believe It or Not, Should Have Listened, Feeling Way Too Damn Good, and my favourite one is actually See You at the Show, which I think is a better version of Rockstar. But anyway, I definitely think people should give this album a chance. Even though it is Nickelback, I think it is really strong, but all the right reasons. Felt too poppy, pop rockish, and Dark Horse and everything they've done onwards does kind of deserve the hate. Yeah, I might review Dark Horse one day. Anyway, okay, so the number 9 spot on the list is a U2 album, and it is All That You Can't Leave Behind. Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't put the Joshua Tree on this list. That's actually another great album they've done. I like how the songs flow and everything like that, and it's classic, but All That You Can't Leave Behind is definitely my favourite because, well, it has my favourite U2 song on it, Beautiful Day. It's just, that's exactly what it is. I always listen to it when the sun's out, for example. It is actually a really nice day today, if you were wondering. But I also like how it has kind of a millennium feel to it. A lot of the songs, I can just name a few: Stuck in a Moment That You Can't Get Out Of, Elevation, Kite, Wild Honey, Peace on Earth, When I Look at the World, and Grace and New York. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not really the biggest U2 fan. I'm not one of these people that hates on Bono and calls him a douche and stuff. I think the guy can sing, and that's kind of really what matters. But yeah, I just love the millennium kind of style it has. And even though most of the albums on here are quite heavy and everything like that, which might show my musical taste, this one is actually one of the albums that makes me feel happy and, makes me feel optimistic. So I listen to it to get me in a good mood. So yeah, All That You Can't Leave Behind has a great 2000s feel since it came out in the year 2000, and yeah, it's just fantastic. It's great. Okay, so the number 8 spot kind of gets a bit more depressing, and it is Meteora by Linkin Park. Now, Linkin Park, people consider them one of the, the great new metal bands. At the time there were bands like Limp Bizkit, so there wasn't that much, but Linkin Park actually managed, to make songs that were meaningful and everything like that. But the thing is, I feel like this album was the last great thing they ever did. I mean, there was Minutes to Midnight, and that was okay, but then there was 1,000 Suns, and that album can, just die. But maybe I'll do a review on that one day if people want it. But anyway, Meteora, I just feel like this album is like Hybrid Theory but amplified. The songs are way more, harder and everything like that. But heavier, sorry, not really harder, that's a bit rude. But yeah, it has some of the best songs on it, some of the best singles, Faint and Numb, obviously, which I think Numb's a much better and less cringy and dated version of Crawling. So I like that song. There's other great songs on here, Somewhere I Belong, Figure 09, Nobody's Listening. I like the whole tribal / Japanese feel it has to it. And I also like how, Chester can have some like beautiful singing while also like screaming, and that's coming from someone like me who hates screamo, but he does a great job. I like how Mike as well does some really great rapping skills here, and I like how they kind of trade. Mike does some bits of the vocals, then Chester comes in, and I know Hybrid Theory did that and was more popular, but I think Meteora just kind of amplified it, and I thought it was great. So yeah, but the thing is, they haven't done anything like as good. They haven't done anything as good as this album. I've heard they've done some decent ones like The Hunting Party, but I just think it kind of sounds way too electronic to me. But whatever. I do hope they go back to their glory days one day, but Meteora and Hybrid Theory too, they're still great and listenable to this day. The seventh spot on this list is from a band that I'm not really a fan of, and this is their only album that I actually like by these guys, and it is Echo Park by Feeder. Now, this is one of those childhood, albums for me, and this is one of the first albums that I got into from a video game, and that was Gran Turismo 3. Obviously, Buck Rogers is a song me and my dad both love, because the lyrics are just incredible. Okay, not incredible, but memorable to say the least. And Just a Day, which is a song that actually really empowers me, and so people say a lot of, this is my fight song and those kind of pop songs are empowering, but I just ignore that, because Just a Day, I think, has some great lyrics and, really uplifts me. But there's also, Piece by Piece has a great beat, 7 Days in the Sun, Choke, Oxygen, Under the Weather, there's loads of them, Purple, and 21st Century Meltdown. So yeah, and the thing is though that Feeder, I think they are a great alternative band from what I've seen from this album, but I haven't listened to anything else from them, and nothing else they've done has been as popular as this album, because it got fantastic reviews. I say fantastic a lot, but maybe I should check out more of their stuff, and if they still make music like this, then that's great. Also, this came out in 2001, so it's kind of an album that represents me being a person, I guess. But yeah, Gran Turismo 3 Memories, Feeder, Echo Park, Feeder, they're just a great alternative band from Wales, I think. So yeah, check it out. Okay, so the sixth spot on this list, yeah, it is the sixth one. The sixth spot on this list goes to a band that you probably wouldn't have expected me to like, but it is A Rush of Blood to the Head by Coldplay. Now, this is just another, classic album. It has some really great songs. And I know, Coldplay tends to make, quite slow-paced and quite sad music and everything like that. I actually do love them. Well, not anymore, but anyway. This is one of the old albums they've done. I think it came out in 2002, which was a good year for music. But anyway, so it has some really great songs on here, Politic, God Put a Smile on Your Face, The Scientist, just excellent, everybody knows that song, Clocks, which was the first, I was going to say U2 then, but it was the first Coldplay song I ever listened to, which actually, I heard it in that crappy movie The Wild, which was a rip-off, of Madagascar, which I'm not so happy about, but anyway, it introduced me to a great band, so I guess it's an okay movie. But anyway, there's also Green Eyes and A Rush of Blood to the Head, the self-titled track, and Amsterdam. So yeah, Parachutes was the debut album by them in 2000, but this one, like I said, like so many others, just amplifies the first album and everything like that. X and Y I still thought was good, because I like the whole futuristic feel it has. And Viva La Vida, I was actually going to pick this one, but I picked Rush of Blood to the Head instead. But yeah, those albums are just great. I didn't miss one, did I? Anyway, but yeah, everything they've done though after Viva La Vida and all Death and All His Friends has been like Milo, Xyloto and Head Full of Dreams. I honestly thought they were kind of just too poppy and too happy and everything like that. I wish Coldplay would make a couple more, meaningful, thought-provoking songs, but whatever, they change their style and they can stick to whatever they want. But I'll always go back to their old albums, and yeah, there's just albums of, this album is just one that makes me think about the world and everything like that. So yeah, it's just great alternative record. This is the first metal band on the list, and at the number 5 spot we have Disturbed's debut album, The Sickness. Now, I was either going to pick this one or their second album, Believe, because I like the whole kind of religious kind of feel it had and everything like that. And the album came out a year after 9/11, so that's the reason why they picked that kind of, those kind of songs. But I only really like Liberate and Awaken and Darkness and Mistress, so all the songs on it weren't that good, but The Sickness right here is just like great as a debut album. A lot of people make fun of it and laugh at it and everything like that because of, what's the singer called? I'm sorry that I forgot his name and everything like that, but I'm trying to look for it right now. But the singer has a weird, that weird monkey sound, which I'm not going to attempt to do, sorry guys. But honestly, I thought this was a great new metal album, and it came out at the same time as Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish, so compared to that, it was pretty amazing. But yeah, people are probably wondering why I didn't pick Indestructible or their new one, Immortalized. I just think this one was the first one, and it was the best one. I can name some songs, all the first 4 tracks on the album are just great to listen to, Voices, The Game, Stupefy, we all know that song, a lot of people laugh at it, but I think it's iconic. And Down with the Sickness, I think it's a great song, but the whole, oh, don't beat me, mommy, that part of the song, I always skip that, unfortunately. But there's also other great songs, Violence Fetish, which I don't like the name of, but it's a good song, Shout 2000, Dropping Plates, and Meaning of Life. So yeah, I just thought it was a great album, and it was definitely one of the forefronters of new metal at the time and everything like that. And I don't think Disturbed's work, it's still great and everything like that, A Thousand Fists and Indestructible as well, but this was probably the most new metal thing they've done, and they definitely wanted to change that style because it might look a bit dated. But people say this album's kind of dated, but I don't know, I still think it's great. I like the whole electronic feel it has as well, and whatever the guy, the bald guy and the goatee, the singer of this band, he has, I like how he can sing really fast and everything like that. So yeah, I just think it's an iconic record, and people may call it silly, but it's just the perfect thing to headbang to. So Disturbed did a great job in 2000. Okay, so the number 4 spot goes to another well-known new metal band, which kind of, started the whole craze and everything in the early 2000s that a lot of people know of, and it is Slipknot's album, their 3rd album actually, Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. Now, let me just pause. Now, the reason why, I picked this, I was actually going to, like many of the other, spots on the list, I was stuck between 2. I was either going to pick the self-titled, Slipknot debut album from 1999 or this, because I liked how it had a rap kind of style, but I just thought Volume 3 was better. And the reason why I didn't pick Iowa, I'll go back to that later, but Volume 3, I just think it had some of the best songs, some of the most varied songs and everything like that, some of the most catchy songs, I guess. But yeah, The Blister Exists, Duality, we all know that one, I Push My Fingers Into My Eyes, Opium of the People, Circle, Vermilion 1 and Vermilion Part 2, Before I Forget, Pulse of the Maggots. It just has some of the, their most well-known songs, The Virus of Life. And it was probably the best album to come out in 2004, I think. And yeah, I just think they did a great job because, they did the first one, the 1999 album, it was very new metal infused, Wait and Bleed, and then their second album, Iowa, they wanted to, do the complete opposite of being radio friendly and went all dark and, angsty. But Volume 3 definitely goes back to the roots of the original one and tries to have a bit more fun and kind of not really light-hearted, not in terms of the lyrics, but it tries to be a bit more upbeat and fast. So yeah, I like that kind of style it has. And also, All Hope Is Gone, that was another great record, but the band didn't actually like that album. Corey said it wasn't that good, and everything like that. And the newest one they've done, you know, 5, the Grey chapter, obviously was dedicated to Paul Gray. May he rest in peace. Also, Joey Jordison left the band, and he was honestly one of my favourite drummers, so I'll miss that guy. But yeah, it has a great record, has some really good songs on it, and yeah, it was actually the first one to get them to win a Grammy. So it definitely put them in the spotlight, other than the very first one. So yeah, Slipknot, people may, you know, call you weird and stuff like that, but as long as you make good music, that's fine. And one of the best new metal bands out there, and one of the ones to survive and last. So yeah, Slipknot, love you guys. Right, so the number 3 spot goes to the an actual one of the bands from the big 4 of thrash metal, and it is Metallica's. I know people are going to get mad at me for choosing this spot, but it's Metallica's The Black Album. Now, people, you know, oh, they say, this is the album which showed that they sold out and stuff like that. But I just simply see The Black Album as the first 4 albums, but kind of like modernised and, you know, was made even better. Because I can go through the albums rundown. I mean, Kill 'Em All, you know, it's a great thrash album, but I feel it's a bit dated because of the production. But Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, you know, what's it goddamn called? Let me just think. And Justice for All. They're just like, you know, classic records from the 80s and everything like that. And the Black Album tried to be a lot more radio friendly, you know, commercialized. But I thought it was great. I thought it was like, you know, something different, you know, a change and everything like that. And, you know, I can accept change. I know a lot of metal purists hate on this album, but to be fair, I think it has some of the best songs they've done. You know, Enter Sandman, it's incredibly, you know, iconic, you know, Often Neverland. Obviously, you know, Sad But True. I actually think it's an awesome, you know, Sad But True and Holier Than Thou. Actually some awesome, you know, kind of, they're not as, you know, thrash-like, but I think they're still awesome. And there's also beautiful songs on this album. The Unforgiven, that song in itself just really relates to me, because we've all felt like that, you know. We've done something wrong, and people have, like, beaten us down and everything like that, and we become unforgiven. And also, you know, Nothing Else Matters, which is probably one of the most saddest songs they've done. But, yeah, I just think that's beautiful. And the thing is, I like when metal bands can, like, you know, become slow and do ballads and, you know, can be emotional. So I like that. But there's also heavier songs on here, like Don't Tread on Me and The God That Failed and everything like that. And I think The Struggle Within was pretty good as well. But yeah, the Black Album, this album kind of reminds me of Resident Evil 4, and a lot of fans see it like that. You know, you get the old Resident Evil games, and, you know, what's it called? I think it's Resident Evil Code Veronica. They're all like classic games in the old style, just like the old Metallica albums. But the Black Album and Resident Evil 4 changed up their styles a lot. But fans could accept it, and they still go back to it and enjoy. But then Load and Reload were a bit too soft, and that was kind of like Resident Evil 5. And Saint Anger, Resident Evil 6. You get it, basically. I'm going to pretty much explain that in maybe a separate video if you want to see it. But the Black Album, I just see it as a classic album, and I don't see why it gets so much hate. But, you know, James's voice, I definitely think, got a bit deeper, was improved. Still had some great guitar solos, and Lars's drumming was fine. And obviously Jason Newsted was there. But yeah, Metallica, I still love you guys. I don't want to fanboy over you guys because you've done mistakes. Bits of Saint Anger and Lulu. But I'm still going to look forward to the new Temp Studio album that's going to come out this year. So yeah, Black Album, I still love you. The number 2 spot is actually an album from my favourite band of all time. Maybe I'll make that a separate list if you want to see it. But yeah, this is System of a Down's album, Mesmerize. Now, wait, hold on a second. Now, you're wondering, why did I pick Mesmerize? Well, I'm actually going to go through the album's, like, a quick-fire version. I see the debut album as their most kind of metal and nuanced kind of work. Toxicity obviously set them into the, you know, the stratosphere. It got really popular. Still, this album was quite underrated and was quite, you know, middle. It was kind of, you know, what would you say, you know, kind of basic and everything, but it still had some great songs. Roulette. Mesmerize, I find to be their most catchy album, and Hypnotize was very political, you know, Holy Mountains and I think Eufig, but, you know, Soldier Side and everything. But yeah, Mesmerize, like I said, I think it's their most catchy album, and in that way, it's the album with the most great songs on it. Like, because some System of a Down albums, like Toxicity, for example, I don't think the track list gets fantastic up until, I think, track 5, because that has Chop Suey on it. I pretty much after Chop Suey, all the songs are great. You know, you get Atwa and, you know, Toxicity itself and Aerials and loads of great songs. Even Bounce is kind of funny. But yeah, Mesmerize, you know, I may sound like I hate catchy music, but when it's, you know, done in a genre I like, you know, like metal, I think it can be done pretty great. Sorry guys, pretty great. But yeah, the track list on here, I mean all the songs I pretty much like listen to, except for one of them. But yeah, Soldier Side intro, BYOB, Revenga, Cigaro, Radio Video. The only song I don't like is like This Cocaine Makes Me Feel Whatever. Sorry guys, I'm reading it here. Violent Pornography, sorry guys. Question, Sad Statue, Old School Hollywood, it's a bit electronic, and Lost in Hollywood. Just a fantastic, you know, I need to think of some new words here, new describing words, but it's just brilliant. You know, all the songs are pretty much insane and everything like that. I know Lost in Hollywood's quite slow and everything like that, and it ends the album brilliantly. It has, you know, I like to listen to this album from beginning to end, and some albums I like to skip a couple songs, but this one, I just love it. It's just brilliant. And yeah, but the only thing I kind of want to complain about is that System of a Down really should come back. They really should make another comeback album. But yeah, Mesmerize and Hypnotize, they were both great, but I like Mesmerize a bit better. So yeah. Okay, so before we actually get to the number one spot, I just want to share with you some honourable mentions. So we have Tenacious D by Tenacious D. Not really much of a musical album as it is, you know, a comedy album, but Jack Black, he's just hilarious. I love the guy. Tenacious D was one of the first music I got into. So yeah, Puddle of Mud Come Clean. It's an album that a lot of people hate, but I think it's a great post-grunge album, but only half of the songs are good on it, you know. Control is a great song. Ixnay on the Hombre by The Offspring. Obviously Crazy Taxi was, you know, introduced me to the band. They're my favourite punk band. You know, the songs All I Want and Way Down the Line, they were in on this album, and Crazy Taxi. So yeah. Tool Lateralis, I was also going to pick the Enema or whatever it's called, that album. And whoa, I mean, people know that I like Tool, and it's that controversial video mentioned that, but anyway, you know, it had Schism on it, and it also came out in 2001. Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Unfortunately, this is the only Iron Maiden album I've listened to all the way, but I just want to say that I'm very impressed with their work, so I can't wait to see more. And finally, an album that many people won't agree with me on, but Aerosmith 9 Lives. Obviously, this song was in the intro of Dead or Alive 3, but like I said, this was the first Aerosmith album I listened to all the way through, and I thought it was great, and I think it's, I know people like Toys in the Attic better, but I think it's the last good work they ever did, and it actually had a more heavy style to it than their other stuff. So yeah, they're just pretty much, you know, my honourable mentions that I didn't want to fit on the list, guys. Alright, so we're finally at number one on the list, and it is an album that I feel very nostalgic about, and it is Demon Days by Gorillaz. Now, I'm kind of biased here because this is technically the first album I ever listened to, because I listened to it when I was like 4 years old, when it came out way back in like 2005. I was a very little kid and everything like that. But yeah, I just love the Gorillaz, because, you know, you may say I like metal only, metal and rock, but, you know, they do a lot of electronic music, the Gorillaz, but I still think it's great and everything like that. I like the whole concept that they're an animated band, you know, the cartoon characters, they all have their own personalities. Whoever the actual, you know, what would you call them, you know, the actual musicianists are actually do a fantastic job here. The tracks on here, I pretty much know them all. I'll name a few of them, you know, Last Living Souls, Kids with Guns, Dirty Harry, Feel Good Inc., El Manana, Every Planet We Reach Is Dead, you know, All Alone, White Light, Dare, you know, Fire Coming Out of a Monkey's Head, that's kind of like a story, it's got Dennis Hopper, may he rest in peace, Don't Get Lost in Heaven, and ends on the self-titled track, Demon Days, which is kind of like a whole Divine Intervention style song. But yeah, I think the whole tracks on here are just iconic. I know I mentioned that a lot. Everybody pretty much knows Feel Good Inc. I mean, it's in GTA 5 for PS4 and Xbox One, so Thank you, Rockstar, for adding that on the car radios. But anyways, so yeah, this is definitely the best work they've ever done. I still think the first album they ever did was great, but this one has a lot of sentimental value to me, and I always come back to it. And even though I got Plastic Beach on release date, like back in, well, my sister did, well, back in 2010, and even though I didn't like it as much because it felt way too like hip hop-ish and, you know, electronic, but I still thought it was good, and I'm still going to give their new album that's going to be upcoming a chance. But yeah, Demon Days, it's just amazing. That's all I gotta say. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, the next video will be an actual rant, and it's actually going to be a double rant, a rant on 2 people, which it is going to be pretty controversial, but anyways. So I hope you can, you know, appreciate my musical tastes, see if we have similar ones, maybe you can list your favourite albums, and anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. See you in the next video. Peace.